permission to speak. Shadows hide you. I am listening. Our paths converge.
So good to see you.
Hail to you. Never lose hope.
Here for a chat.
Are you? It has only begun. Fight on, friend.
Welcome to episode 499 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Friday, May 30th, 2025 in the evening. Coming to you from Nomergon, Ohio, it's me, Edelweiss. From Northern Massachusetts, we have Wicked Good.
Hi.
From Teldrassil, California, we have Megasa.
Hello.
And from all around the world, we have you, dear listeners. This week's episode is brought to you by our producers, Number Theory, Kresh, Beef Squatch, David P., Jeremy T., Bottle Caps, Grumpy Monk, The Burger Club, Kirk Regan, May, SSJ5 Goku, and NY Kiwi. And by our patrons of the week, Wadeo and Zachary LeBaron. You can go to patreon.com/CoinConcede to get perks like a thank you at the top of the show, bonus post-show content, early access to new episodes, one-on-one coaching sessions, and help support the show in the process. If you would like to support the show but cannot do so monetarily, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast feed of choice, as it always helps other people find the show. So we're going to do quick Life and Ladder because there's a lot of stuff. Our next couple of weeks are going to be a bit hectic and non-standard in terms of our release schedule, as if you're hearing this, you have already noticed. But we're trying to balance some big announcements with our episode 500 that is just coincidentally really, really poorly timed. So episode 500 is going to be its own sort of thing that we want to be sort of a self-contained reflection on the history of this show. So hope you all enjoy that. But this episode is jam-packed with news. So my quick Life and Ladder. I got top 1K with Blax's Blood Unholy Leech DK. Made a couple of tweaks along the way, but it's a more aggressive list. No Kill Jaden for me. Foam Render is really the big differentiator. I got Vipered one time, but largely people don't have a reason to run that card right now, so it's just 5 damage every turn. Zephyrus may be questionable to folks, but it is a nice flexible thing that sometimes gets you lethal. And Nomelia Orbital Moon is a Reno clear, so...
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Zephyrus isn't questionable. He just gets answers.
Yeah, sure. They're just not always the answers you want.
You may not be the answers to the questions that are in front of you, but they are answers.
Yes.
Yes.
And Headless Horseman, honestly, sometimes even if I've got a good lead in terms of hitting other DKs down, sometimes they'll get Kill Jaden going, and I'm just like, I'm discovering an undead every turn, and I'm going to kill you because you can't deal with this foam render. So, yeah, that's me. How about y'all?
I had a coaching yesterday where we did friendlies instead of co-op, and then talked about what we might have done differently in the games. And I got beat twice, won once. And one of the times that I got beat was a similar DK deck, I think, to what you were doing. And the person I was coaching drew Headless Horseman early, didn't draw the head forever, but I was playing an aggressive deck because of course I was. And that was the type of matchup that he wanted to practice. 3 damage to one of my little guys every single turn from 6 on was really hard to come back from. And the foam render and all of the clears. And, I at first had been like, I might have waited a little longer on the threads clear, but it worked out. And then just the Headless Horseman made it so that he could wait on titrating out his later big clears. And it seemed pretty strong. Overall, I've mostly been playing the aggro Imbue Priest. So we were excited that maybe we have Imbue Priest. And as I feel like has been just the theme of like the entire past year, maybe 2 years of Priest, is that something comes in, it seems like it might be Control Priest. Psych, it's actually Aggro Priest. So
surprise, Zarimi is aggro. Surprise, Imbue is aggro.
So when you're guaranteed to get something playable, you can just use it at the end of your turn and always get something out of it. And that helps with the refill problem because you are getting an extra card a lot of the time. Now, you'll still run out of resources eventually because you are still an aggro deck, and just one card a turn in the late game can sometimes get you there if you get lucky with getting big things, other times not. But in the early game, if you imbue a couple times, then you just hero power at the end of your turn and have something. And also, like, the pool of 1-cost cards and 2-cost cards is pretty good. So you're almost always going to have, always have a actual choice between two things, and usually it's something that you want to play. Not always, but often it's pretty good. And that deck is playing Zephrys also, or at least the version that I'm playing is playing Zephrys also, mostly for lethal.
Seen a lot of Zephrys, actually.
Yeah. Zephrys has been showing up a lot. And it's pretty fun. I've been up and down with my performance with it, I will say. I finally was getting really frustrated by mages. And then someone in our Discord posted that I believe it was our patron Torby Flenderson, shout out to you. Early coin concede to Torby Flenderson for posting that he had gotten legend with aggro imbue priest with purifying power. Purifying power is the 2-mana priest spell that has a unicorn on it that silences all of your minions and gives them +1/+2. Well, guess what? If they're silenced, they're not frozen anymore, and they can go face.
That is true.
Yeah.
So this was very exciting. And yeah, it's actually a good thing to silence your brain masseuse. It's a good thing to silence your overzealous healer, although she would spell burst from that. Anyway, sometimes you might get rid of some buffs that way, but like often that doesn't really matter. And it can I want to mirror with it, but I haven't seen any mages since I switched to running this card.
Oh, no, of course not.
I played so many games and didn't see any.
Because they all got tired of being dirty ratted, because that's what I was doing. And that's how I started out. And that's why I'm at 5K right now, is because I started out with mage and I just kept getting dirty ratted. Or, I mean, it is worse, right? Because, I mean, all the Protoss stuff got nerfed. It's worse. But I also got bait. I allowed myself to get baited. We'll say that, because I was on Reddit, which is a bad idea. And there was someone who posted a list of, I got to legend with imbue control priest, and I said, I'm bored. Fine. And I went like 50% with it until I didn't. And it was fine. It was better. I mean, I did end up just playing aggro, but I mean, it had Kill Jaden, it had double repackage. It might have had a ceaseless expanse. I don't remember. It was aggressively fine. it was sometimes it just felt like, okay, I'm going to roll the dice and see if I get what I need. And most of the time I'm not going to. And maybe I get something that's useful, and maybe I just get like a goat. And, it felt fine. I've tried a few other things, and I ended up going to the same Death Knight eventually, but not after losing like a couple thousand ranks. So not with that Death Knight, I'm not getting back to 11x by the end of the day tomorrow, because those games take a while, but it is what it is. Oh, I also, I finished Final Fantasy VI. Highly recommend. Very controversial opinion that Final Fantasy VI is a good game. Can confirm.
Is it?
It is. Yeah, the Pixel remaster is good.
No. Is it a controversial opinion?
Oh, no, it's not. It's absolutely not.
Okay, I was going to say, I feel like it is one of
like 6 is up there with like 7 as probably one of the ones that people like a lot. So now I'm playing 9 on my Steam Deck, which I have apparently decided in my head is the story of like the one neurotypical friend who was teaching all of his neurodivergent friends in the friend group why all of their social interactions go sideways, that's been what the first few hours of that game has been. And I've been playing Final Fantasy 16 on the PS5, and holy crap, that game is good. And maybe we will talk about it in the post show more. We talked about it before we started recording, but it is, I have not been able to put that game down. And it is, I know I'm a year late on it, and everybody else is playing Expedition 33, which is probably what I should be playing, but I'm playing this and I'm enjoying it. So
no, that's what really matters.
Yes. And the kid is happy that I'm playing it. So, she's trying to get me to play Final Fantasy 14. And I'm like, look, I'm too old and I don't have enough time. Like,
there's only room for one live service game.
Yes.
Yeah. I absolutely feel that. And I am making a note to put the lists that we have mentioned in the show notes. So
except for
the
control and view priest, because I'm going to save you from that and not give you that list so that you're not tempted like I was.
If you really want to do it, you can search Reddit yourself.
Yes.
And then it will be your own fault.
I will leave that as an exercise to the listener because I do not want to be responsible for people losing ranks with that list. But yeah. Anyhow, we have a whole mess of news and then we have more news. So we should go talk about some news.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Okay. So, we are recording this off stream because we are releasing this on Monday. And the reason we are releasing this on Monday is because what is coming out on Monday is patch 32.4. And patch 32.4 is going to have a whole lot of stuff in it. Some of that is a new expansion. We will talk about that in detail in Decksplanations. So we will get there. But the other big thing that is in patch 32.4 is the long-awaited Arena revamp. So, what is happening with Arena, you may ask? Well, first of all, this is how you know they're serious. It's going back to the main menu. So the Tavern Brawl menu option is going to the modes menu, and Arena is going back onto the main menu. So it's going to be Hearthstone, Battlegrounds, Arena, and then modes. So, which is probably good because I don't think the number of new Tavern Brawls they've come up with in the past several years, you could probably count on one hand, maybe two. So,
Yeah.
Outside of like when there's a heroic Tavern Brawl or something, like there's no reason for Tavern Brawl to be on the main page anymore. So it is good that they are giving Arena back its spot on the main page.
Yeah. Tavern Brawl to me for a while has felt like a time tax for a pack and one that I'm not interested in engaging with for quite some time. So happy to see Arena be fewer clicks away again.
Yeah. So Arena is structurally staying mostly the same. The big change mechanically within the runs for both modes, and we'll get to what I mean by both modes in a second, is that you will continue to be offered a legendary card with your first pick. But now that legendary card is going to come with a bucket of other cards that synergize with it. So you will have some guaranteed synergy, even if you go for, let us say, an ambitious first pick.
Uh-huh.
Which is a good change. I mean, at least you know you're going to be starting from somewhere, and then you can build a deck around that. Even if you don't get offered anything else that synergizes with it, at least you know you're starting from somewhere. You'll have some cards that work with the legend.
Now, we don't actually know specific buckets, but would it be something like you're offered Malorn, you get some imbues?
Yeah, I think it would be something like that.
If you're offered the Ogre legendary, right, you get some ogres. If you're off it, and they're all hand curated buckets.
Mm-hmm.
So every single one is the same every time that you see the legendary. It's not random, and it has been picked by a human. And there is a rumor that if you see Prince Malshazar, he comes with 3 more Prince Malshazars.
Yes,
it is 20 random legendaries shuffled into your deck at the start of the game.
It is the Alcazar bucket. Yes.
So you're required to take it.
Yes.
If you see it.
If you don't do that, like, what are you doing with your life? Really? You know?
Winning?
No. Yeah. No, this is winning. No, look. There are different definitions of winning.
I think you have to draft exclusively card draw if you take that bucket.
Taking the Malcazar bucket is not about winning. It's about sending a message. And the message is, I am here for a good time, not a long time.
The message is, I will win in fatigue.
Yes. So also the pool is no longer going to be from set expansions. It is going to be a curated pool. Something like, if you are a Magic player, you may know the term cube, which is a curated draft pool as opposed to something just out of a single expansion. So these are going more towards cubes. We don't know what those curated pools look like. I would imagine that even if they don't publish them, that there are going to be sites that will start figuring it out. And that's may or may not be important to know what you're likely to be offered. But again, if you're starting out from a synergy bucket anyway, then at least you know that you're going to have that. You don't necessarily need to rely on like knowing what is in the pool to know that you're going to have like a good base for a deck.
Does this mean no more Worgen greasers?
We don't know the exact list, but it's a very long. All we know is that there are a lot of cards that are in the pool and that they have been hand picked, at least for this season. We don't know exactly what will happen in future seasons, but hopefully it means that there's more of a power balance. And hopefully, even though I enjoyed getting a chance to play like a controlly imbue priest in Arena once, I think everyone who plays Arena is pretty done with that, because in the past few weeks have just been like priest stone only. If you don't get offered that, you might as well retire your run practically. So I would guess, and I don't know this, that something like the priest imbue just might not be in there. So they have the ability to change up. Like there's a lot of levers now that they have for balance, changing what is in the pool, changing what you can draft, what you can get offered in. They also have the ability, if you get draft, you can set a card such that you can draft it but not discover it, or set a card that you can discover it but not draft it. Or just take it out of the pool entirely. They could change the buckets. They can change the offer rates. They have a lot of levers that they can pull, and hopefully put the resources into that. I think Sage on the dev team is really involved in this process and in the rework.
Yeah.
In the design part of it. So also early coin concede to him for working so hard, and everyone else who worked on the revamp.
Yeah, Sage has been a long time arena grinder, to the point where I remember there was a dream hack that he participated in, and Cora was casting and then giving him grief for trading too much because he was too much of an arena player and he was playing constructed. He shouldn't have been trading that much. So he's been a big arena player for a long time. So there's definitely love going into this. And also like micro adjustments were one of the big things that they were able to do in arena to kind of make that a little bit more balanced. And now they're going to have micro adjustments up the wazoo if they want them, which is good. I mean, again, we don't know how this first version of this is going to go, but also like we're not gonna have to wait for a patch for them necessarily to adjust, unless they're changing cards. But they wouldn't change cards for arena. They change those for constructed. But like if there's adjustments that need to be made for arena, they could just do a hotfix and change the pool, and they don't need to wait for a full balance patch, which is good. So there are, as I said, 2 modes. The first mode is called the Arena. That's how we know it's new, because they added a preposition.
An article, technically.
An article, yes. It's been a little. You're probably closer to English grammar class than I am. So yes. So the Arena is going to be more of a newcomer friendly mode. So it's going to cost you 1 tavern ticket to enter. Tavern tickets again are 150 gold, or I think $2 if I remember correctly. So it's going to be one ticket to enter. It's going to be a cap of 5 wins. So it's going to be a much shorter experience than the current arena runs are. You're going to have 1 pack from the newest set guaranteed as a reward. You can, if you get as few as 3 wins, you can get a second pack, not necessarily from the newest expansion, but it might be. There are no gold rewards in this mode. There are only packs, and then you get another tavern ticket at 5 wins, and there are also some dust rewards, but there are no gold rewards in this mode. Presumably this is going to be the mode that newer players or players who just kind of dabble in arena are more likely to play. This is probably not going to be the mode that the arena grinders gravitate to, which is going to have an added effect of making the competition a little bit more consistent, especially in the early parts of a run, because you're going to have fewer people. You're not going to have the arena grinders going up against somebody who just started the game and just trying to earn a pack. I believe, I remember, and I might be making this up, but I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some additional like rating that's going to be behind the scenes as well. That's going to help with that, in addition to just like splitting them across the modes. But or at least in this mode, there will be.
So in the arena, in both of them, you will now have an MMR like in Battlegrounds with a number. There's only a leaderboard for the second mode that we're about to talk about, but for the arena, that MMR will smooth out the matchmaking. So it still goes by win number first in this match. So if you've won twice, it'll first try to match you against someone else who's won twice. But in that pool of people who've won twice, it'll look for people closer to your MMR. So that will make it much more forgiving for newer players, either new to Arena, maybe new to the game as a whole. I know, for example, my husband has said that for him, it was really hard to get into this game as someone who doesn't have a card game background, because even at low ranks in Constructed, you run into really good decks very quickly. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to learn the ropes. And so hopefully, and something like Arena, like we have now, is even more unforgiving, because you're not just running into people at your MMR, you're running into anybody with that record. You know, I would always feel bad when I'd queue up and run into somebody like in a heroic brawl who had like a clearly free to play deck. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm taking your lunch money. It's what it feels like. Yeah.
But I paid 1,000 gold to get in here. So, and some of that same could happen in Arena. So this hopefully will help smooth it out for those players, be a good entry point for people. You do have to play win 7 total games in this mode before you unlock the next mode. And that's true even for people who have played a lot of Arena in the past. It's from the new system. You'll have to play at least 2 runs of the Arena before you can unlock the next intense underground Arena mode.
Yeah. So that does lead us into the underground, which is probably going to be, if you are somebody who plays Arena regularly, it's probably going to be closer to the Arena that you are expecting. This is going to be kind of the expert level of Arena. So the runs will continue to go to 12 wins, and the rewards will still be more towards packs and less towards, I don't even think there are dust rewards. It really is just packs. There are some cosmetics that you can earn along the way.
And one thing to note about that portrait that a lot of people are not, there is a fallback reward. We don't know what it is yet, but once you earn the portrait, if you get 12 wins, you get a special portrait. If you get 12 wins again, you will get something in place of that. So it's not like the 12 win reward bucket is actually worse than the 11 win reward bucket. Like, it'll be replaced with something else. We don't know what yet. I did some calculations where I guessed that it might be a golden pack, because that is what would fit the pattern, but I don't know that for sure.
So this will cost you 2 tavern tickets or 300 gold to enter. At 6 wins, at 5 wins, you get 1 tavern ticket as part of your rewards. At 6 wins, you have a chance for a second one, and at 7, you have 2 tavern tickets guaranteed. So you still go infinite at 7 wins. So when you get to 7 wins, you've paid for your next run. You can just go again. The rewards then also ramp up to additional packs. There are random legendaries. Once you get up to the 6 win mark, you have a chance to enter. I want to remember what the crowd's favor you could win, which is a 2,000 gold bonus. And the odds increase starting at 6 wins. It's at 5% all the way up to, if you have a perfect run, it's like a 15% or 13% chance to get the crowd's favor and get to 1,000 gold as part of that. But I mean, that's even 13% is going to be low odds, and you're not really going to be expecting to get much in the way of gold. You're going to be getting dust from the packs. You're going to be doing it for the experience because you enjoy arena, and possibly for like a leaderboard there. But
if you're doing this a lot, that's like roughly 1 in 10 runs.
Yeah. So I did brief economy, and then we will move on and not talk about economy.
Oh, hold on. Well, if we hang on, yeah, we do have to do this because we're going to talk about rewards. So we do have to do this.
Time is money, friend.
All right. So I'm not going to analyze so much rewards for the arena, because if you are an arena person, you're probably playing the underground. So if you get like 5 wins, especially 4 wins or less, then if we convert your rewards into their dust value, right, then you are a little bit behind, like 12 to 18% less dust value than you would have gotten for a low amount of wins in the old arena system per ticket. So it's actually more dust value, but you spent 2 tickets or 300 gold. So going like by ticket here. However, if you get 7 wins, you are 40% above the dust value of rewards that you would have gotten in old arena. If you get 10 wins, you are more than double, plus 120%. So that's 220% total. And if you get 12 wins, then you're talking, more than 2.5 times, plus 150%, plus 160%. So that does, if you are that type of player, you probably are going to be hitting that at least every once in a while. The matchmaking for the underground is still based only on win record, not on MMR, so it doesn't smooth that out. Although players who are really not arena players are probably playing the arena instead of the underground. But nowadays they're not playing arena either, really. So I would imagine if you're regularly getting 10 wins in arena now, that's unlikely to change too much. And you will go infinite at the same place. There's now a chance of golden packs where there wasn't before. The random cards start later but are better. The rewards are a lot more consistent. Trying to calculate this for old arena was actually really hard because it's like you get a range. You get like a pack guaranteed, something else in a range, something random out of this bucket, something random out of that bucket, and they're actually not even odds. So some of the analyses that I've seen have said, oh, the rewards are a lot worse, but they were not calculating, like the odds of getting a legendary in the current system, even if you get 12 wins, is quite small, actually. Here you have a better chance of that. And so it is true that unless you get the crowd's favor, win the jackpot, there is less gold. It is harder to bank gold for the next expansion. And that's just kind of a trend that we've been seeing in general with standard packs, more of them becoming expansion packs. And I think it makes sense from a business perspective in terms of having people unlock packs as they play if you want making it a little bit harder to just bank everything for the whole expansion, to spend it all on day one of the next expansion, which I know is what some people do. You can still bank the dust, of course. I know that that's not the same. I mean, what I'm doing is I calculated that now I do get the smaller bundle, but I realized that I can craft and this is not the position everyone's in because I also play a lot, but if I get the smaller bundle, get the things that I get for free, and then just craft whatever I want as soon as I want it, I'm still up at dust on the end of the expansion. That's just my experience, but really it's about, do you have the dust to make things as you want them? And if your goal is just to play arena and not to play so much standard, you are still getting infinite in terms of tickets at about the same rate.
And I honestly, I like getting the straight tickets because I'm not the kind of person who does the math, right? And so being able to just know, like, oh, I got my entry to the next one, right? Like I know it happened. I don't have to be like, oh, good, I got enough gold, right?
Yeah.
It's just, oh, I've got a ticket, and so that'll be my next run, and everything else is like cool extra. And I think particularly when you get into like 10, 11, 12 wins, I mean, the fact that 12 wins is 1600 dust, like that is a legendary. It just right there. 12 wins,
Yeah.
you get a legendary. It's
And they're
you get
giving,
it-
and you're getting a random legendary also. So yeah.
It's actually a golden legendary. 1600 is
Yeah.
if you dusted it for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, I put all dust values in here as if you dusted the card you got. In fact,
it.
that makes all of this conservative because if you want that card,
Right. Then it's
It's
sort of
worth
more
more.
valuable.
Yeah.
yeah. So so you get, if you get 12 wins, you get a golden legendary every time, which is actually not true in current arena. You are much less likely to get one.
Well, and I assume it has dupe protection. So
And it has
Yeah.
dupe protection.
Yeah. It would have to. Yeah.
So if it's not something you have, then it'll be new.
so that means at 10 and 11 you get a regular legendary? Is that
Oh, it's a golden epic. At 10
Got
and
it.
11 is a golden epic. A regular legendary at 9
At 9.
wins,
Yeah.
which might almost be better. But if you can disenchant the golden epic for any legendary that you want, essentially, is a way to think of it. And you do get some gold at like 2, 3, and 4. Not a lot, but it offsets a little bit that you aren't getting any tickets.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, also the random cards that you're getting from those rewards are looking at your collection across all the expansions. Right. So like
Right.
it's going to fill in any gaps that you would have in your collection too first before it's going to give you, as opposed to just like opening a pack and getting, like if you open a pack of like Great Dark Beyond and you already have all those legendaries, then you're just going to get something you already have. Whereas this will find a legendary that you don't own, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I don't want to lose out of the economic conversation is the coolest new feature that we're getting out of the underground, which is that when you lose a game, you will be brought into a screen where you will draft 5 additional cards and then be given the opportunity to cut 5 cards from your deck, which is such a big deal. I do wish the only complaint I have is I would love it if they did this for the initial draft also and just give you an opportunity to kind of prune your deck a little bit up
Like
front.
you just draft 35.
Draft 35, cut 5 right away. Like I would like
Yeah,
that just to
I
make
agree.
it a little bit more consistent, especially because we're at higher stakes, but whatever, fine. So you don't do that until the first loss. But that's both of the first and the second loss. So you will have the opportunity, assuming you don't go 12-0 or 12-1, to add 10 more cards and cut 10 cards from your deck. You do those 5 at a time, that just adds another layer of depth to the experience, right? Like you're going to get the opportunity to refine your deck as you go and be able to take out some of the cards that you might have taken speculatively and were stuck with for the first loss. And then you're able to get rid of those and make your deck more, hopefully more tuned around the direction that you're taking it in, which is something that I've wanted in Arena for a really long time. And I'm glad they're finally figured a way out to do it.
That's what is so, I think, appealing about limited in Magic the Gathering, right? Is that I feel like Arena translates more directly to sealed in Magic, even though you're picking things.
It's like between sealed and draft, effectively. Yeah.
Because sealed in Magic is like you get 4 packs or 6 packs, depending on sort of how you're playing. And you make a deck, right? And Magic has the like different colors and stuff. It's not exact parallel, but you put together a bunch of things and try and whittle yourself down to 40 cards, which includes lands. And that means that a lot of the process is like looking at all the stuff and making cuts, right? With Arena, it's always been, well, you're doing 30 discovers.
Yeah.
And so you don't have that like, this isn't going to work out. Yeah, especially when you parallel to drafting in Magic, where you, as you say, you can speculate on strategy and then be like, didn't get enough for that to work, I'm not going to run those. Now you can actually kind of do that. You do have to wait until you've lost one, but you can go and say, all right, I didn't get enough elementals. We're just going to cut the elementals or whatever.
Yeah.
And if for some reason you're super happy with what you drafted and not with your new cards, you can cut the new cards too. So you're not stuck with the new discovers.
Right.
Yeah. Or if you just get offered garbage, right? Which is probably going to happen sometimes, at least for some of them. There's going to be some buckets that you're just like, I don't want any of these. So then you can just cut them. Never let them go into your deck. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what this feels like, because that's one of the things that's really kind of struck me about Arena, is that you're just stuck with these cards when you have like a bad choice, right? And you're stuck with those cards no matter what. And like, yeah, there's going to be some things that are going to be suboptimal, but at least like if you can cut like the 5 worst cards or the 10 worst cards out of your deck, what does your deck look like? And then it becomes a lot more about not just like what can you pick and like playing the odds of what else you're going to be offered, but like how good are you at building a deck on the fly? And that's really interesting to me.
And I kind of like that you're getting to do it after you've had a chance to play it at least once. You know what it feels like. That gives you some information about what you want to cut. So even while I would also like to see 35 whittle down 5 at the start too, I do really like having that opportunity while you're playing as well, of being able to respond to how your deck actually feels, especially for people who maybe are not as much deck builders but get a sense of the deck by playing it. You play it and you're like, oh, this card's really not very good, so we're going to cut it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like, this might be sort of the main mode I engage with for a while, is this Arena. Just because, yeah, it's exciting. You get that sort of deck building feel in a way that I didn't really get out of the original Arena. I was actually, even prior to this, coming back to it a little bit before like the balance changes happened, right, when we were in King Plush Land. And yeah, I still like limited. Not so much that I want to make space for Arena on my iPad, but enough to play. Sorry, make space for Magic Arena on my iPad, but enough to play Hearthstone Arena. And so now that we've got this huge revamp, I'm very excited to dive in again.
Yeah, I mean, like most of the time that I play Magic Arena is either drafting or playing like Brawl mode, which is like fake commander, fake 1v1 commander to earn gold to be able to draft again, right? Yeah. So I'm not interested in like 1v1 constructed in Magic at all, and I enjoy limited quite a bit. And so I'm really excited to see if this scratches that kind of an itch in Hearthstone, because Arena's never really felt like it, and Duels has really felt like the closest to it, honestly. But even then, you're like starting from having to build a deck. So it'll be interesting to see how this feels, but I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I started playing Hearthstone like exclusively with Arena.
Yeah,
I barely played Constructed, just did Arena as sort of like no one's awake right now, but I want to play some card games because otherwise I'd be playing Magic. Or yeah, I mean it's just easier when you can do the digital stuff, right? But similarly, when I was playing Magic Arena, I qualified for events through drafting, and then would be like, oh shoot, now I
have to learn Standard.
Yeah, this thing I qualified for is Standard. That's not good.
It is not the same skill.
Yeah,
there's overlap, not quite the same.
Yeah. So the new Arena season will start on June 2nd when the new patch comes out. So your rents will be retired, and then the new season will start with this new system. And again, the cards will come from any expansion or curated pool. They specify that Into the Emerald Dream and the Embers of the World Tree mini set will be included in the pool. So I don't know if that means that the entire expansion is going to be there, or just that you're going to be offered more. It's not really clear like what that means, but they'll be there. So yeah, so that's really exciting. So that's just one of the things that's happening in the patch, by the way. So there are going to be some free cards that we're going to get. We'll talk about those when we get into Decksplanations that are tied to the new expansion. There will be Secrets of Ungoro in-game events where you'll be able to earn 2 copies of an epic card, Sharp-Eyed Lookout, which will be regular and then golden. There will be 2 dissolving oozes, which will be commons, again, regular then golden. You'll be able to get 4 packs from Lost City of Ungoro and then 2 tavern tickets through the course of the event. So that'll be happening. I'm not sure if that's going to start exactly when the patch comes out or a little bit after, but that'll be there.
The event is June 17th to July 8th.
Yeah, so that'll be a couple weeks out. But yeah. There is an important collection update regarding diamond and signature cards. So, TLDR, there are several signature cards that were not able to be disenchanted that you now can disenchant or dust. So they're making some changes to the eligibility. The simple explanation for it is that if you can buy the card in the shop, or if you can open it in a pack, you will be able to dust it going forward, which is not currently the case for everything. If you are granted a card from the rewards track, from an achievement like the ones that you get for getting all of the cards in expansion, for example, or the diamond cards that are granted to you by buying the golden mini sets, those will not be able to be disenchanted, but all the rest of them should be able to. So, if you got to open a rogue signature for the 3rd expansion in a row when you never play rogue, you could dust that and and then send the picture to Hat, I suppose. Or if you're just like a normal human and not me, you could just use the dust if you need it.
This seems like it'll make Hat's life a lot easier, because I imagine explaining why you can dust this one but not that one is very frustrating.
Yes. Rules are better when they are consistent. I can tell you that as the experience from being a parent. So, no, because I said so does not go well with children. It does not go well when you're trying to dust cards. So there are a number of bug fixes that are relevant. There's a lot of them actually, but we're not going to talk about all of them. But the ones that you're going to want to know about: Everburning Phoenix is now correctly both an elemental and a beast. I believe it just had the elemental tag, I think. I don't remember which one it had, but it got both of them. Yeah. So there are a whole bunch of very detailed bug fixes around how dormant behaves. And I tried to read it and I don't quite get all of it, to be honest, but the scenario that it looks like it's trying to fix is that the new behavior that we're going to see is Ancient of Yore, which is really where this is most often happening. I mean, it's Ancient of Yore and Red Card for the most part that you're seeing this happen. So if an Ancient of Yore is given Reborn by Eternal Layover and then goes dormant, the Reborn copy comes back to life, but then goes dormant because as soon as it hits the board, it goes dormant. It will wake up with 1 health and not 4. That's how the change is supposed to be. So it's going to get Reborn and I guess any other status effects that it would have gotten before it goes dormant, not after.
Yeah, so basically, and this is not just limited to Ancient of Yore, any dormant minion that was given Reborn and destroyed is resummoned with 1 health now. So, but the main situation where you'll see it, the Warlock plays Eternal Layover. They have an Ancient of Yore maybe with Curse Campaign on it. It gets Reborn first, then it dies. You end up with 3 dormant Ancient of Yores on the board. The one that had gotten Reborn, that one will wake up with only 1 health, I believe is what this means. Yeah. So it still was dormant for 2 turns and they drew 2 more cards and got 10 more armor, but at least the darn thing only has 1 health when it comes back.
Yeah. That is the definition of a consolation prize. Yes, it is. Now, it is worth mentioning there is a dark gift that has minions come back from Reborn with full health. So before you go submitting a bug fix, you may want to check to make sure that whatever it was not summoned with that dark gift, because that is a thing that will happen. Because just to make this even more confusing and complicated. So apparently, if you had Toreth the Unbreaking and other Divine Shield minions that were empowered with his ability, and then Anachronos was played, which sends everything away for 2 turns. When the minions came back, none of them would have Divine Shields.
Huh.
That's been fixed. So that was a thing that would happen.
Yeah, some of the Imbue Pallies are playing Anachronos is probably how that got spotted.
I mean, I can see that happening. Like, it doesn't seem like, outlandish that it would happen. But anyway. So Onanra is a card that I will remind you what it does because I just had to look it up, which is the Shaman Wild God that is a 9-mana 5/11 that says at the end of your turn, play the top 3 cards from your deck. That was supposed to have been fixed with the behavior change around end of turn events and Cliff Dive, but it was not triggering that end of turn effect before Cliff Dive. So now it will. So now if you play Onanra and you've Cliff Dived that out of your deck, it will play the top 3 cards out of your deck before it goes back into your deck. Illusionary Green Wings illusions, if they end up in your hand, not through cast when drawn, but say you discovered them from a dark gift, from one of the dark gift things that discovers out of your deck, or you're playing wild and you're playing Spinley and it swapped the bottom of your deck with your hand. Those were not able to be cast, and now they are. So again, in standard, I don't know how often this happens. I would imagine wild, if they're playing that card, that would be more likely because Sir Finley is a thing that would be most likely to make that happen.
Yeah, actually, if you discover the summon when drawn, I guess it depended on some of the cards would draw it to your hand and not actually summon the card, and other cards, like if you got it with bird watching, it would just summon and then draw you the next card, and it was great.
Yeah. Tidepool Pupil is now going to count mixologists. If you have 2 different mixologist concoctions, it will treat each one of them independently and offer them both to you independently. So it used to be that it would treat them all as one card, and now it's looking at the actual text on the card to decide if it's going to offer them to you or not.
Cool.
If Terrible Chef, which is the card that summons a Nerubian egg, and if it when it dies, it would pop the egg. If the egg was transformed, like by a hex, it died, it would kill the minion and nothing would pop out because it wasn't a Nerubian egg anymore. It will not do that anymore. It will now actually make sure that there is a Nerubian egg that it summoned before it just kills it. The smoldering cards from the last mini set are no longer, the effect from those is no longer visible in the opponent's hand. So sometimes when you draw that, you'd see them burning through the back of the opponent's hand, which is flavor-wise great. Competitive integrity-wise, not so much. So that's fixed as well. And then if you shuffle a Grifta Amulet or a Gorgonzormu Cheese into your deck and then subsequently draw it, it will no longer be revealed to your opponent upon being drawn, which apparently it was. So that will be live on Monday, June 2nd, along with the announcement of the new expansion, which we are going to be talking about in Decksplanations. And if you are hearing this, it is June 2nd because we are not leakers. So you will be able to go and download that right away and then go see the new cards that are granted and then go play New Arena. There are a whole bunch of new job openings that Ben Hartstone spotted on the Blizzard career page. They're including an associate game designer position, a couple of marketing positions, product manager. So if you are in the market, you are looking for one of those positions to pop up, they're there. Go shoot your shot. You never know what's going to happen. So, and best of luck to you if you're going to do that. And there are just a couple of shop updates, which are really wild bundles, but this is an interesting new take on a wild bundle. So there's a Return to Wild bundle, which is got a random legendary from Wild, 20 Caverns of Time packs, 20 United in Stormwind packs, and 20 Fractured and Alterac Valley packs. Why now? Who knows? Maybe they plan to have a twist season and they don't. I don't know. But the wild legendaries are from a limited pool. So when the limited pool is available in the full details when you're looking at it on the shop page, the bundle is Kartrus, Demon Render, Final Showdown, Isil, Windsinger, Wildheart Guff, Hope of Quel'Thalas, Magister Dawngrasp, Open the Waygate, Cheval the Tiger, Dark Bishop Benedictus, Scabs Cutter Butter, Shadow of Demise, Corrupt the Waters, Shudderwalk, the Demon Seed, Lord Barov, Ankar, Astalor Bloodsworn, Lord Keeper Polkelt, Sir Finley Sea Guide, Theotar Mad Duke, King Togwaggle, and Zephyrus the Great. So there's also a golden, so the regular one that's $40 USD or 4,000 runestones. There's also a golden Return to Wild bundle that comes with one signature Dino Tamer brand, two wild signature legendaries from that same pool, and then 5 golden wild packs. That's $60 or 6,000 runestones. So if you are a wild enjoyer, I'm sorry, the signatures are not from that pool. They're from a separate pool, which is Lord Marigar, Arana Thrillseeker, Freya, Keeper of Nature, Theldurin the Lost, Grand Magister Ramath, Sun Sapper Lanessa, Raz the Chain, Sonya Water Dancer, Thorum Stormlord, Popgar the Putrid, Lotheb, Gangremane, Baka the Moon Eater, Brand Bronzebeard, Leroy Jenkins, and Prince Renathal. So basically all the wild legendaries that have gotten signatures or the signatures that have rotated out of standard. So if you're a wild enjoyer and you are interested, you can go pick those up. Those are available in the shop now. But that is enough about the past because we have to talk about the future.
All right. So the new expansion is the Lost City of Ungoro. So we are back in the Ungoro crater with Elise. She has been recruited by the Tortolan explorer Lo to assemble a team of experts and find the Lost City, which we can actually kind of see in the key art is in the center of the caldera is the Lost City. And the Tortolans, actually, one thing that I hadn't quite realized, they were originally made by Hearthstone for the Ungoro expansion, the Journey to Ungoro original expansion, and were actually subsequently adopted into World of Warcraft, not the other way around. So coming back to exploring a little bit more of this particular race of beings that is a Hearthstone original, and there's a lot of storytelling in this. We won't get too much into all of the details of the lore, but we have a lot of different Tortolan characters. We have Umbra as our villain, and she is the card that you will be given that you will already have by the time that you were listening to this, because in patch 32.4 she will be available to everyone. She is on the expedition, but she's a traitor, and she's actually trying to raise an undead army of undead dinosaurs to retake the city because they kicked her out, basically.
I mean, I can respect that, like, like that'll teach him, like, you get him back. That's girl bossing. That's fine.
There's also what I believe is a non-binary character, known as one of the explorers at the front. So that is cool to have represented, and we haven't seen that card yet. But we can see them in the key art. And yes, so we can start maybe with the cards that we'll be getting starting now with the release of the patch, and then we'll talk more about some of the specific new mechanics that we'll be getting when the full set comes out. So the cards that we're getting now start off with Endbringer Umbra, who is a neutral legendary. 7 mana, 6/6, battle cry, trigger the death rattles of 5 friendly minions that died this game.
They have to be different, I think.
They have to be different, I believe, yes.
So you can't just have all ball hogs.
You cannot just have all ball hogs and then trigger ball hog 5 times, yes.
And it won't trigger off your weapon either because it says minions and not death rattles.
Correct. But it could still be worth having in there because, like, okay, you get the Ball Hog Death Rattle, you summon a couple Ball Hogs, and if you play this other 7-drop, maybe you summon a couple of the...
Yeah, and they're all running the 7-drop anyway. So, yeah, you may as well. You probably just run that anyway. Who cares, right? Like,
some of them even have run Tindril, the one that Death Rattle deal 4 to everything.
Yeah.
So you could do that, although it would only trigger for deal 1 to everything because it would be on your turn, the Battle Cry, so maybe not. But yeah, even if you're only having those 3 Death Rattle minions, like, maybe that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's a mech warrior going around too that's running the safe. I don't remember which one it is, but the one that does the 8 damage to the board, right? And maybe you just run the one that shuffles the bombs in also, and you run a couple other just utility death rattles, just make it a death rattle warrior. I could see that happening too. Like this effect was very good when it was on the Zyrella hero. I mean, that was everything, obviously. And Priest also, okay, let me be Charlie Brown with the football one more time. Priest had some good death rattles right now, right? Like we did get we got the one that draws a holy and shadow spell from your deck. We got the light shower elemental, right? We've got the Draenei that gives you holy spells. Like there are some decent death rattles in Priest if we actually get any sort of coherent control package in Priest, then there might be like a death rattle or a resurrect Priest that we could make work.
Isn't Velen's power a death rattle?
It is, yes.
It is.
Yes.
Yes. If you had twice Velen, maybe that would be better.
Mm.
I don't know. But it is a thing that could be done. I think this is an interesting card to bring as the pre-release legendary because she seems powerful, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of death rattles, especially with the, undead army of dinosaurs. But she can synergize with many sets because death rattles are just a consistent part of Hearthstone. And I could see also this being something that just comes up, rises up from the dead again in future sets. We'll have her for a year and a half. Death rattles are in almost every set. I'd say every set, some with more frequency than others. So this is a pretty flexible legendary.
Yeah. And sometimes you just discover death rattles over the course of the game too. Even if you're not running that many, sometimes you just end up getting death rattles off of like Dark Gifts or whatever. So like you'll find use out of it. Like the decks that are going to play it will have a use for it and they'll get the value out of it.
And one thing so in the shop, there will be 2 blobs of tar to claim for free. So they're in the shop, but they're free. So don't forget to go claim them. And this does have death rattle, although I don't know that it's necessarily what we're doing with Endbringer Umbra, but it is a 4-mana 2/4 elemental with poisonous, taunt, death rattle, summon a 1/2 blob with poisonous, and a 1/2 blob with taunt.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's a pretty big wall.
It's a pretty sticky minion. Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Sludge Belcher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, 1 less attack and health, but 1 less mana. But then the death rattle gives you another thing.
And they're poisonous. 2 out of 3 are poisonous. Yeah.
Right. It gives you a 1/2 poisonous with a 1/2 taunt to protect it. So.
And I mean, there's probably like a slower version of the Demon Hunter that runs that with, is it Infiltrate that has a minion deal 3 damage to all other minions? Like that's a clear, right?
Mm-hmm. That is a clear.
And I think you might see this in some kind of Death Knight that wants like a lot of corpses.
Yeah.
That's true. It is a lot of corpses as well. If we end up, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with a bunch of elementals as it is Ungoro. Elemental decks tend to be faster, but maybe this would be a little bit more of potentially having a little bit of a slower direction to elementals, which would probably make them more interesting to more people if they end up going in that direction.
Or it's the taunt that protects all the aggro minions.
Or it's the taunt that protects all the aggro minions.
Like Tar Creeper was in the original Ungoro, right? And that was like everyone thought that was going to be the defensive minion. That was actually running all the aggro decks to protect all the other minions that were actually doing the face hitting. So
right.
And that 1/2 poisonous, like both of those poisonous can be really good for aggro decks because if they go tall in response to you, you're just like, meh, I kill your tall thing.
Yeah.
And then I keep going face. Yeah. Okay, now I'm excited. Not yet, but once the event releases, which is June 17th to July 8th, you'll be able to earn a couple more cards, which will be playable once you earn them. So one of them is a rare Dissolving Ooze. It is a 3-mana 3/3 with Battlecry. Destroy a friendly minion. Spit out the bones of its attack and health into your hand. And then the bones is a 2-mana spell that says give a minion plus that attack plus that health.
Would it surprise you if I told you that Leo designed this card?
Okay, I was going to say, this seems like a Leo card. Yeah.
This is absolutely a Leo card.
Yeah, they're in your hand. One of them is a bonus to attack and one is the bonus to health?
It's a single spell. It's a single spell that's both.
Wait.
So you destroy let's say that you destroy a 3/4 minion, you get a spell in your hand that gives +3/+4 to something.
Okay, yeah. I thought you got like 2 spells, one that gives +3 attack, one that gives +4 health.
No, just one that gives both of them to the same minion for 2 mana.
That is more sensible. Okay.
That's also not how bones work.
But you don't just like take the chicken bones and start fighting with them after you
make an exoskeleton.
What is Thanksgiving dinner like at your house? Like
the art for this is pretty funny too. Of the, and this is very fun flavor to have instead of, like destroying the equipment. We already have the acidic ooze, which makes people about as mad as gelatinous oozes in Dungeons and Dragons make people. For those who are not familiar, gelatinous oozes will destroy your equipment. There is no faster. D&D players would rather have their character killed than their equipment destroyed. Often. The other card that is a reward in the event is Sharp-Eyed Lookout, who is an epic 3-mana 2/3 Battlecry. Draw a card. It costs 1 less this turn. And it says, I know its name, which means that the card text will update in-game to tell you what card it will draw. So you will actually know before you play her which card she would draw if you play her. I assume that changes each turn. I don't actually know that. No.
I guess we'll find out. Yeah. But I mean, it sounds like it would, but maybe it's just imprinted on the card. Who knows? That
is a cool idea, though, to be able to know what you're going to, because oftentimes you'll draw desperately to see if you get the card, and this way you don't have to play it if you're not going to top deck a card you don't want.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. It only costs 1 less this turn, but before you play her whether that's going to be worth it and whether that card is playable this turn, which is also cool. So that discount isn't wasted. Unless you're just like, I have 3 mana, I'm going to float it. I'll just play her at the end of the turn. So I have this in my hand. That happens too.
So I just realized a ridiculous thing that might work with Endbringer, which is Floppy Hydra. Floppy Hydra says, Death Rattle, shuffle a copy of this into your deck with permanently double attack and health. So you have 4 Death Rattles plus Floppy Hydra. As long as you hit Floppy Hydra with the Umbra every time, you will have Umbra forever.
Oh, yeah, because it just says this. Yeah.
And it's a copy of this. So you still keep her in play. It's not even like she activates that and shuffles herself into the deck. Just something to look out for.
Yeah, give that to Sidisi. He'll be playing that on day 1, I'm sure.
This is the kind of thing that you think of. Yes.
The problem is that there's exactly one Hunter player who's interested in doing that and having the game go more than 6 turns. And,
No. Floppy Hydra is neutral.
Oh, is it neutral?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Does that mean I have to play it in all my control decks? Oh, I don't want to.
Isn't it better than Kill Jade?
No.
You just Floppy Hydra, Illusory Greenwing, and Talon. I don't know.
And in Priest, you would do the Light Shower Elemental. Keep healing yourself.
Listen, yeah. I'm old now. I can't stay awake that long. Like
that was important.
Yeah.
So the first mechanic that we are getting in this expansion is actually coming back from Ungoro. It is quests. Quests were introduced in Ungoro, if I remember correctly. It is not, to be clear, quest lines. Just quests.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, oh, do this thing and then you get another one, and then you do that and then you get another one and then you get a crazy reward. It's just one thing.
Alterac. Not sorry, Ungoro, not Alterac.
Yes.
Yes. So, and a lot of those quests call back to legendaries or mechanics or sort of stories that they had from Ungoru that they didn't necessarily want to make all of those like new keywords. They didn't want to reintroduce everything and just make this expansion feel like it's just Journey to Ungoru again, but they also wanted to take advantage of the fact that it's a sequel, call back to things. So, for example, we have for the Death Knight quest, it is 2 blood, 1 unholy, 1 mana, starts in your hand, reanimate the terror. Quest, spend 18 corpses. Reward, Tyrax Bone Terror. Tyrax Bone Terror is a 5 mana 8/8. Your classic quest reward stats. Undead Beast. It says Death Rattle, open Terror's Grave. It has Death Rattle, resummon Tyrax. And Terror's Grave is a 5 mana 2 durability location, although you're not paying for it usually. That says deal 4 damage, Death Rattle, resummon Tyrax Bone Terror. So you keep going back and forth between a location that deals 4 damage and a 8/8. But you can like copy the location or copy the minion
and bring her Umbra and then get another one.
Umbra.
Yeah.
So you can have a lot of these if you're a little creative.
I am excited.
And Bringer Umbra will only give you the minions death rattle, not the locations death rattle, importantly, because it says minions and not death rattles.
Yeah, but that's kind of what you want, right? Because
you want both, right?
It doesn't matter. I mean, like one gives you the other in a loop.
I know, but then you would get both and you only get one. So.
It's fine. You like each of these is 8 damage and then summon an 8/8 and like that happens forever. So if you've got 2 of these out, it's just a lot of damage.
That's ending the game.
And the last time we saw a quest was in Stormwind, right? So like this is not Stormwind.
No.
Like
it's Ungoru.
The Ungoru quests, like they were impactful, but they weren't, and some of them were win cons. Like
sure,
Warrior was a win con at the time. Like Warlock was probably supposed to be a win con, but you never got there.
Right.
But they're not necessarily going to be like game-changing things as much as the Stormwind ones, because the Stormwind quests are what everyone's going to remember most because they were the most recent ones. And the quest lines were nutty. I mean, I can't count how many times they've had to nerf the Stormwind Warlock quest for Wild. Because I think it's up to like 77 damage you have to do to yourself now in order to get it to go off because they keep having to bump it up. So this is value, but it's not overwhelming value unless you're abusing the death, like copying the death rattle or whatever. Because I mean, even if it dies, like it's an 8/8, fine. It makes a location. The location does 8 damage, but that's over 3 turns, right? It's not reopening like the Perils in Paradise locations. It's you do 4 damage, you wait a turn, you do 4 damage again, then you get the 8/8 back. It's good, but it's not overwhelming value.
I mean, I think the point is to copy it, but it is a fair bit of damage. It gives you some inevitability. Yeah, it's not like the game is immediately lost as soon as you see this, unless you're an aggro deck and you're out of stuff.
I mean, I imagine just putting this into the deck, Wicked, you and I were talking about that we've been playing, right? You just slot this in, and after you've played a Corpse Explosion and some Foam Render swings, it's online, and now you've got more damage.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be specifically in that deck because it does have 3 runes on it. It is Blood, Unholy specifically.
Oh, I didn't even see the Unholy.
Yeah.
I thought it was Blood. Well,
yeah,
it fits right in.
Yeah.
And they've really been doing a lot of Blood, Unholy with a lot of corpse spending. I mean, they even have things that people aren't running right now, but I could see people running in the future, like the Corpse Flower. And we haven't had like a reward for spending corpses. We now have a reward for spending corpses.
Corpse Flower is double Unholy.
Oh, it's double Unholy? Shoot. But we do have a lot of things that spell.
We've also got the new legendary that got put into core that like draws a corpse spending card, right? That it doubles the corpses that you generate and it draws you a corpse spending card.
I think that's double Unholy.
Is that double Unholy? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Everything is awful. Okay, cool.
I mean,
But-
this is clearly the current, like, blood decay.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of
Yeah.
a fluke that we actually had some vampiric blood decks, honestly,
Yeah.
because they haven't, like, made stuff specifically for it.
But I
But-
mean, you have the choose one card that spends corpses. You've got foam render. You've got corpse
Mhm.
explosion. Like, you will spend 18 corpses.
It'll take some time, right?
And I mean, if you're playing that deck, I mean, I guess the question's really going to be, is it worth the card in the mulligan?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
that's always kind of the question with some of these quests. Like, is it worth losing the card in the mulligan for that? I don't know the answer to that, assuming that it's in that same deck. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Or, I mean, you always could throw it away in the mulligan, which is something that has been done as well. But
And I think you will against
Yeah.
aggro decks, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely been a thing where it's like, this is aggro. We can't lose this card in our hand. We need to, like, look for pyro poison or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not that hard to, if you do get into a late game, you draw it later, you can Corpse Explosion, get a bunch of them all out at once. Exarch Maladar, next card you play, cost corpses instead of mana, is just one unholy. You can't do Volcaros, which is the new one, where you spend 10, 20, or 30 corpses, because that one's double unholy. But there are ways to spend the corpses if you draw it later.
For sure.
So that is, and so we haven't seen yet what the other quests will be, but I think it's kind of fun to revisit the quest because it does give a bit of a deck building challenge and a direction, but it's not the quest line, so hopefully it won't have the same, like, we're playing towards the same goal every time, and then when we get it, the game is over.
Yeah.
Type of feel.
with Priest, literally.
Oh, the priest took its time getting there.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you still had to find the purified
Yeah.
shard.
You had to find it, and then if you didn't top deck it that turn, you had to wait till the next turn
I mean,
to play it because it
if-
cost 10 mana.
That's only if you were bad that you had to find it. If you were good, you just got it. It just worked out.
We also have a new keyword in this expansion called Kindred. So Kindred says cards with the Kindred keyword get a bonus effect if you played a card of the same minion type or spell school on your previous turn. So kind of like the elemental minion type often works, where it'll say if you played an elemental last turn, do this. Kindred cards work like that, except for whatever type they have. So it could be a beast if you played a beast last turn. It could be a undead beast, and then for it's if you played an undead or a beast last turn, then you would get the Kindred ability. Or it could be a spell. So the example that they have here is a priest spell, 4 mana shadow spell, Grave Dawn Void Bulb. Summon a random 4-cost minion and give it taunt. Kindred, do it again. So if you cast a shadow spell on your previous turn, then you will get 2 4-cost minions with taunt.
Look, Wicked, more aggro priest cards.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, seriously. And I mean, it's like, this is the kind of thing where it is, I mean, it's probably very similar to the elementals, where it is very good if you set it up, and it is close to unplayable if you don't, because, like, just paying 4 mana for a random 4-drop with taunt is not what you want to be doing. But 2 of them, that's reasonable, right?
Next year, Lord Benedictus to core, or Archbishop Benedictus to core.
Oh
Yeah.
God, I mean,
Cathedral.
the way Priest is going, you may as well just throw him back in now. But anyway.
I'd be down.
I think that this is cool to be giving sort of support to all the different types all at once, and giving you a reason, being able to sort of gently nudge lots of different ones all at the same time. That you can have a bit of an issue with the elemental. Yeah, as we know, like, it can, if you have a lot of these, it requires a lot of density of that in your deck building, which can sometimes be limiting. So that's my only concern. But it is kind of an interesting deck building challenge, and it's only a few cards, so you don't necessarily need to have it. Like, in an elemental deck, you have to have the chain every single turn because so many of your cards depend on it, or some of them, it's like for the whole chain of times that you played an elemental, whereas something like this, like, you don't need to play a shadow card every single turn. You just want to have something you can play before this.
Right. And I like just that it is a way they can use this as a mechanic for sort of everything, instead of, okay, we're coming up with a keyword because we always have to come up with a keyword, but then the elementals work the way the elementals work, but they're not keyworded, and the dragons work the way the dragons work, but they're not keyworded. This way they can be just, okay, different classes have different minion types depending on what sort of makes sense for that class. But we can have a keyword that sort of works for everything.
Plus, this isn't the pirate expansion, right? Like, there's a lot of different, like, we know there's, in the original Un'Goro, there were a lot of elementals, there were a lot of beasts, but there were also a lot of other minion types, right? And that's kind of one of the features of Un'Goro. So you don't want to lock yourself into just like, oh, this is the elemental expansion, right? You want to be able to have that flexibility, and then you can put this on any of those and not have to be limited into just those minion types, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have another legendary. This says in the reveal blog, reacquaint yourself with old friends and mechanics. So Lowe's team of adventurers includes a few familiar faces, including famous explorer Elise Starseeker, the group's navigator. So we have a new neutral legendary for Elise, 4 mana, 3/5, Elise the Navigator. Battlecry, if your deck started with 10 cards of different costs, craft a custom location. So those 10 cards of different costs, that could be, like, Ceaseless Expanse is always going to count as 1 if you're running that, because it's 125 and nobody shares that with it. You could have, 0 through 9. You could have, like, 0 through 8 and a giant. There's lots of different ways that you could make this work. You could just have 1 through 10.
I mean, Rogue is unironically playing Wisp on purpose right now.
I mean, they also have Shadow Step.
Well,
and
yes.
Prep.
Yes. But so like there are use cases for that, right? So like you could do this reasonably, but you have to pay attention to how you're building your deck when you're doing that. And then the custom location kind of works like the Kazakus potion, where you'll get you'll be able to choose 1, 5, or 10, and then you'll get to discover 2 sets of 3 options. And then you pick 2 of them, and then that's your location. And like the more you pay for the cost, the better the effects are. And I think it also gets more durability, if I remember correctly. Or is it all the same durability?
That I don't remember. It doesn't say in this.
Yeah.
It's possible. So we haven't actually seen the videos yet as we're recording this. So there might be more information in the video that you, listener, have seen. But yes, the effects there's like 3 different versions of each effect. And I think it might get more durability, but I don't know that for sure. I think it might be like 1, 2, and 3 durability.
That sounds right. But regarding Wisp, like, yes, Rogue is doing it as an Eat the Imp target, but I think with how powerful Menagerie Jug is, and I think will continue to be with a lot of minion types in Un'Goro, if you are something sort of more aggressive leaning or mid-range leaning and you don't want to run a 10, you could use Wisp as a 0 and either with hand buff things or with playing Menagerie Jug on, like, you can drop the Wisp the turn you play it and know that, Undead is your 3rd minion type to hit, and also be able to meet this requirement.
Yeah. There's also, if there is an Undead deck, right, and you're doing Kindred things, then Wisp is actually legitimately a good way to be able to make sure that you're hitting Kindred, hitting the requirement for Kindred on the turn before without necessarily having to spend mana to do it. Because Wisp is an Undead now.
Yep.
And we'll have to see exactly what the effects are that come with the locations, but historically, craft a custom X has always been powerful.
Yeah. Because
it's so flexible.
I would be shocked if Kazakh Elise does not see play, honestly.
Me too.
Just because, like, that effect is almost all. I mean, even Mixologist is seeing play, like, inconsistently. So it's hard to imagine this not being good enough to see play. And I'm sure that this is the kind of card, if it's not, they'll buff it to make sure, because that seems like the kind of card that, this is a good kind of neutral legendary, because it does force you to build your deck to accommodate it, and not in a way like Kazakhstan where you could just kind of cheese it, right? Like, you have to really go out of your way to build for this, but it's not necessarily going to be doing like one broken thing all the time. So,
and it's not making you too Highlander, which is specifically inconsistent. So,
but it is making your curve inconsistent, right? By making you include it's making you include higher cost stuff.
Yeah, you only need one of the higher cost things, right? Like you can go, okay, Fire Rack is my 9.
Yeah. Ceaseless Expanse, just throw it in there and yeah.
Yeah, I guess for something slower, Ceaseless lets you kind of skip whatever number you want to skip.
Yeah,
but
I guess you throw a Zilliax in there to cover one of the costs. Just pick whichever modules work, and make a Zilliax to fit it. Or
yeah, that could be interesting, right? Like some people might actually do the 7 cost one of Perfect Haywire.
I actually saw someone do that against me the other day. Didn't even have this reason to do it. It was big, and it didn't actually hurt them because it has lifesteal.
Yep.
I did win anyway, but that was not why they lost. We'll just put it that way. And if it's possible, if the 10 cost ones are powerful enough, I mean, now it's a location, so it's probably not going to have an effect that's like win the game right now. And unlike, say, the weapons from Ignis, it's not hitting you every turn, it's hitting you every other turn, right? Because it's not like the Perils, right. It's not reopening quickly. But I assume that they'll still be pretty powerful.
Yeah. They might even be more powerful because they're being tempered by the fact that you can't use them every turn.
And maybe this will finally be a win condition for Priest Wicked.
I'm not getting my hopes up.
I just placed the football. Yeah. So I'm excited about her. I think she'll be playable. I hope she's not like totally ubiquitous, but I think that there's there's lots of different interesting ways that you can fulfill the deck building requirement, but it's hard enough that she might not be in like every deck. So, and it's not an effect that affects the entire game, right? You still have to draw her, play her, make your custom location. Like she's not Renathal. And she's also not Reno, hopefully. Depending on what the location does. She's not Reno. All right. We also have, they always have cycles of cards that don't actually have a keyword, but are like thematically related to themselves. Like the orbital cards, for example, are all like, if you had a card next to this. So we have a couple cycles of cards, stories and maps. The stories are really not so much mechanically related as they are flavor related. Each story harkens back to quests undertaken the first time we journeyed into the Ungoro crater. So for example, Hunter has a 2-mana card, Story of Carnassa. Shuffle 10 1-cost 3/2 raptors into your deck with Battlecry, draw a card, which harkens back to Queen Carnassa, who would shuffle 20 of those raptors.
I did not remember Queen Carnassa having Rush, and I thought it was 15. So I don't know if they maybe they buffed her for like Twist at some point.
Maybe.
But stories do change over time as they're told over and over.
I guess. Because I don't remember Rush being a thing in First Ungoro. But at any rate, this was a quest that was not played by people. Except me.
So this is for
and probably
you
probably Sidisi. Probably
I'm sure Sidisi.
Yes.
But yeah, it was not considered meta. We'll put it that way, right? Obviously, people would play it. But I was known at my local game store in Philly at the time for showing up with a combo Quest Hunter deck. Wherein it's like you complete the quest line, which was play like 10 1-cost minions or something.
Play 7 1. Well, now it's 7. I don't know if they buffed it since.
7 sounds right.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is, so I would complete the quest. I would have Queen Carnassa in my hand. I would play Hemet, which would destroy all the rest of my 1-drops in the deck, right? Hemet at that time was a 6-mana 6/6 Battlecry, destroy all the cards in your deck that cost 3 or less. So there would just be a couple of Tundra Rhinos left in the deck. I would top deck one of them and then play Queen Carnassa. And so the entire rest of my deck would be 1-cost 3/2 Raptors that draw a card.
With charge.
Yeah, with charge from Tundra Rhino, right? Yeah.
So you were like Cycle Rogue.
Tundra Rhino has not been around for a minute, so I'm reminding people what that did. Yes.
Yeah, 5-mana 2/5 beast that said your beasts have charge. And yeah, it would just be Tundra Rhino, Raptor.
I wish I had known you back then because I would have loved that deck.
It was delightful. And yeah, actually managed to like win an event with it in my lineup at one point, I think.
So that is the story that this Tortolan in the art is telling. On Story of Carnassa.
So importantly, there were only 9 quests back then because we only had 9 classes. So that means that 2 of them are not getting stories. I would say we should take bets, but I think there is probably a correct answer for this one, which is, I mean, I will just go on the record and say I will be shocked if the mage or the rogue one gets a story, because I don't know how you're making a story out of Time Warp or Crystal Core. That's not going to be incredibly broken.
Crystal Caverns?
Yeah. Crystal Core, the caverns below.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. One of the most, I don't know if it's still, because Zodiacs has gotten nerfed more, but up until recently, like the most nerfed card in Hearthstone history. The caverns below.
Yeah. Rogue Quest was good.
And Take an Extra Turn does not seem like something that they're going to want to print onto a 2-mana card.
That sounds right. So,
which means that we're getting a story of Lakari Sacrifice, which I'm already like trying to not throw up in my mouth.
See, I would think that would be not one for the other, for like the opposite reason.
I could see something like them open a location that summons 2/3/2 imps, right?
So it looks like 6 classes are probably not going to have the stories.
No, they said 7 stories, right? In the thing.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
7 stories.
There's 7 story cards. There's 9 classes. So that leaves 2 that are left out.
So some classes are going to get a story and a map.
Yeah, well, we could get an Awaken the Makers story.
I mean, I would assume that's probably one of the safer ones, right? I mean, giving Priest 40 health is still kind of laughable compared to what Death Knight does on a regular Tuesday. But yeah.
Maybe it'll be even more.
I was not assuming that all of them will be like specifically a card that does the reward. Like, I'm not sure how doable that is for everything.
Yeah, not necessarily does the reward, just harkens back to it in some way.
Carnassa's like half the reward, right? Like Story of Carnassa's like half the reward. Like if it was like gain 5 health, right? Summon a taunt, gain 5 health or something.
Set your max life to 20.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so our last mechanic here, besides the stories, which is less a mechanic than a flavor, a cycle, we have Find Your Way to Fortune with maps. Lowe's adventuring party wouldn't get very far without a good map. Play a map to discover a card, and if you play the chosen card on the same turn, you'll get to pick another one of the options. There are 6 maps in the Lost City of Ungoro, so use them to map out your road to victory. So what we see here is a rogue map, 2-mana shadow spell, cultist map. Discover a card from your deck. If you play it this turn, also pick one of the others.
No.
Because what rogue needs is more card draw.
This is preppable.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is.
Like, I feel like this has to be the best one because it's from your deck.
Yeah.
Like, oh, goodness. Yeah. That's a little spooky.
Yep. There's nothing untoward that Rogue would do with a card like this. Nothing at all. Yeah. So I'm sure I'll be incredibly annoyed and roll my eyes at it repeatedly.
Cycle Rogue is already good.
Yeah.
Yep. It just adds, even more consistency than they already have. So, which is already a lot. You can also just pick an asteroid, right?
Yeah.
And then get another card.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You sure?
Well,
I don't know. Well, no, you wouldn't play an asteroid because that doesn't play it. You would have to pick something else and then pick the asteroid.
Are we sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Sometimes Discover just draws the card for you.
Yeah.
Well.
So we might have to see.
Because you don't actually play the card. It casts when drawn. So I don't think you're actually playing it.
Yeah, but Discover draws the card.
If you discover the illusionary Greenwing, right? Like when you're discovering that from your deck, like if you discover that from Xavius, it summons.
If you get it from birdwatching, it summons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or triangulate. That's kind of the whole point of triangulate.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you play this and you pick an asteroid, it will trigger draw you another card.
Right, but it's not going to have played it, is what I'm saying.
Okay. I misunderstood what you meant.
Yeah.
So you pick it second. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
you would pick it second because if you pick it first, then it won't trigger the second sentence on that card.
Okay, I understand you now.
If you care.
If you care. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
I don't even know if Cultist Map makes the cut for that deck, but historically, Rogue getting to pick cards from their deck is a thing they're interested in to
Yes.
continue playing a lot of cards in a turn.
Especially when they get to pick multiple cards from their deck. Yes.
Yes.
Because Rogue also has 0 cost cards that they can just play. They can just draw a prep or draw a shadow step.
A backstab.
Or a wisp. Or
Yep.
Yeah, you prep this out. You can choose the cheaper one first so that you know you can play it, so that you know you can get another one.
Yep.
But even just playing this on 2 and not getting the extra thing, like discover a card from your deck, like yeah, that's a bad tracking, but
Sometimes that's fine.
it's like an overcosted tracking that sometimes gets you an extra card.
Yeah. It's fun that they did something kind of related to Discover, because wasn't Ungoro where Discover...
No, that was League of Explorers. That was the first Elise expansion. Yeah.
I knew it had to do with Elise.
Yeah.
But having if you play it this turn with a Discover is kind of interesting because you can think about that while you're doing the Discover, right? It's not a random generation, so it's always part of the choice. And sometimes we'll add an extra tension of, well, I could pick this one and play it and get the extra effect. Or I might prefer to take this other thing.
It also determines when you would play it, kind of the Illidari Studies problem, right? Where you don't necessarily want to just rip Illidari Studies on one because you may not be able to play the card that turn, and then it gets shuffled into the middle of your deck where it no longer gets the outcast effect. So there's some considerations there too.
I could see this card being easy to misplay either by playing it when you don't have enough mana, or by not being so focused on having to have the mana to play the card to get the full value that you don't pick something that's more expensive that actually you do need, right? Because sometimes that consideration might override the map's extra effect, but that'll really be very situation dependent. So that's kind of an extra skill thing.
So what you're saying is that this should be my favorite card because it could lead to my favorite thing in Hearthstone, which is Rogues misplaying and then conceding.
Well, Rogue, unfortunately, with theirs, they get to pick 2, so they can pick the cheap one first, and then they get to avoid the problem. Everybody else, with whatever their maps are.
Oh, well.
Okay, so it is possible, listener, that there have been even more cards that you have seen in the reveal videos, but this is what we know will be visible to you all. And we know that there will be the pre-purchase available as you're listening to this of your standard mega bundle and standard bundle, and they will also have this. They had this for the last expansion, but they didn't say that they had it. Now they're saying that they have it. There is a third bundle if you buy both the mega bundle and the standard bundle. You can get an additional bundle of 30 cards, 2 signature legendaries, and 10 gold. Not 30 cards, 30 packs, 2 signature legendaries, and 10 golden packs.
This is called the Sequence Bundle.
It's called the Sequence Bundle, otherwise known as the Whale Bundle. I say affectionately. We haven't seen any signature art yet, but generally it's pretty cool. The Mega Bundle will also have, it looks like includes 80 Lost City of Ungoro packs, 10 golden Lost City of Ungoro packs, 1 random signature legendary card, 1 random golden legendary card, 4 tavern tickets, Spirit Singer Umbra card back, and Warlock Hero skin. So there'll be a Spirit Singer Umbra Hero skin. And then the standard bundle is what it always is, which is 60 packs, 2 regular legendaries, and a card back. And we don't know if they're going to have a pre-release Tavern Brawl again, but I would assume they will because they've been very successful.
But you may have fewer tavern tickets left over if you're really digging Arena.
Yeah, that's an actual competing interest there a little bit. So yes, over the next few weeks, we will definitely be having more to talk about from the Lost City of Ungoro as we learn more about it. But next week, is our episode 500. And so we will be focusing on a special episode 500.
Cool. Well, we have many folks we'd like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website at concede.com, and you'll also find our contact info, our show notes, and our Patreon information. You can monetarily support our show at patreon.com/coinconcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.coinconcede.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com, and write into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Blue Sky at coinconcede. And if you'd like some CC swag, head on over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. So, quick shout out to, again, the hat and community folks, marketing folks, whoever, just for letting us be able to do stuff like record these things off air in advance for the sake of shuffling our schedules. It has been more than once quite helpful for us in kind of making scheduling work.
Yeah, and that'll allow you to hear our thoughts about this like right as the announcement comes out, which is kind of fun. Not always something that our schedule allows us to do.
We get to pretend like we're YouTubers.
And I had already done this, but I had written down Concede to Sage for work and the rest of the team for the changes to Arena. I'm excited to try it out. I was never especially good at Arena, but maybe playing a little bit of the Arena will help me out. And then I can decide if I'm going for those higher stakes. And also, Concede to the professor of the latest UCSC class that I had that I just finished. I was able to, it was an online class, but I was able to have an actual meeting with her and talk about the lessons I had made about probability and the silly ways that I was trying to figure out to engage students on that topic, which I find really fun, but also it's very counterintuitive in a lot of ways, and people get snarled on it very easily. So I thought it was a good topic.
Well, I'm going to concede to my oldest daughter, who is the reason that we're recording on Friday instead of Thursday this week, because yesterday was her high school graduation, which is a lot of feels. We'll say that much. I still feel like I just graduated from high school. So, like, I don't understand how I have a kid who just graduated from high school, but here we are. So... not me contemplating my mortality on a Thursday night, but yeah. So, but no, we're really proud of her, and she's got a couple months to relax before having to buckle down in college. We just gave her graduation present, which is a new laptop for her to take to college. So that's backing up from her old one that weighs about half as much. And has some very cool lighting that she immediately turned off because it was like the most obnoxious pattern available. So, but yeah, so it's the keys glow pink now. You'll be happy to know that was the most important thing that we needed to do immediately, was make sure that the keycaps glowed pink. So that was the good use of RGB lighting. But we're really proud of her, and especially like not knowing anything about raising an autistic kid when we got the diagnosis when she was little. Like, we didn't even know if we were going to get to this point. I mean, obviously I know a lot more about autism than I did then, but at the time, like, well, what does that mean? Are we ever going to get to that point? But she's awesome, and we're just really proud of her. And yeah, I've been in my feels for the last day or so. So yeah.
You have to play the legendary bumper.
Oh, do I have to play? I do have to play that.
Whoa, legendary!
Huge congratulations. Yeah. It's a big deal.
So that's going to do it for us for this week. So until next time, keep calm and don't fall in the volcano. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
All life must end. I yield for now. I concede. Well fought. I concede.
You win this one.
The victory is yours.
You have bested me.
I give up.
You win this one, friend. You win this time. I choose death.